Hey guys, it's Sam Limon back with another tutorial. This time we're going to be working on our Longleash advertisement. So in this project we're going to be given or provided with the files, a logo file, and I believe it's one or two image files. And it's going to be up to you to conceptualize an ad in a magazine page for this product, which is essentially a GPS tracking device for your dog, or any pet for that matter. So your pet could be wearing this collar and it's going to be transmitting back to your mobile device, and you can see where your pet is at all times. So it's our job to take these elements and then create an ad that is engaging to the viewer, and it makes you want to buy the product. So first things first, we're going to download the files. That's going to be these Longleash files, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my working folder, and within it I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to name it Longleash Ad, and I'm going to go ahead and drag my files in here. So let's go ahead and open these so that we could see what they are. So we have our Longleash logo in a JPEG format. We also have our Longleash logo in a Photoshop format. So this is more than likely what we're going to be working with. So I'm going to drag this into my Photoshop file once it is created. And then we have image of the product, and here is another image of the product with a little bit of leash or collar as well. So to get started, let's go ahead and open up Photoshop, and we're going to go to File, New, and we are going to want to go with print on this one. So it is going to be in RGB, a CMYK color mode. If you do RGB, that's fine. We're going to display these on the screen anyways. So what we want to do is make it a width of 8.5 inches and make it a height of 12 inches. So right now we are setting up our trim size, and then once we are in our document, we're going to be adding the guides for our bleed and giving us that extra little room, and we will be adding our guides for the live or the safety area. So again, it doesn't matter if you go RGB or CMYK on this one. Eventually, if you are working on something that is for sure going to go to print, go ahead and click on CMYK. On this one, like I said, we're just going to be displaying on the screen. So go ahead and click Create. So first things first, let's make sure our rulers are up. So you could do Command or Control R to hide them or show them, and let's make sure that it is in inches. So I'm going to right click on my ruler and I'm going to change it to inches, and let's go ahead and save this now. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Save As, and I'm going to navigate to my Longleash Ad. So I'm going to go in my folder, go into my Longleash Ad folder, and I could save it right here. So I'm just going to rename this to Longleash Ad and put my name on it. So go ahead and put your name on it. Make sure it's a Photoshop document. It should be, since we're saving directly from this new file we created, and go ahead and save it. So now what we want to do is we want to place guides around this whole artboard. So we're going to do Command or Control A to select everything, or go to Select and select all. So that puts our marching ants around the whole document. And now let's bring in some guides from the top down, and we're going to bring them to the top horizontal line, drag another one down at the bottom horizontal line, and then let's take care of our verticals as well, dragging in these guides from the left hand side. And let's go ahead and deselect. So you could go to Select and deselect, or Command or Control D. And now let's go ahead and add that 1/8 inch bleed that we're going to need if we want this to print all the way to the edges and to be able to be safe with that. And now let's go ahead and add the guides that are going to be 1/8 of an inch inside of this. So that's going to be our safety area. So let's go ahead and go to View and click on New Guide Layout. And we're going to make sure we go into Margin, and let's add 1/8 of an inch. So it's going to be 0.125 inches on each one of these. So I'm just going to copy that one and select the left, paste it, paste it, and paste it. So I'm going to give you guys pretty much the whole space to work with, any important information. And we only have 1/8 of an inch safety, so go ahead and click OK. So next we want to add the bleed, so that's going to be the extra on the right, left, pretty much all the way around. And this is going to be so that if we're going to print all the way to the edges, we have that extra safety. So when it gets trimmed, we don't have the chance of possibly getting into the white paper area. So let's go ahead and add that. So we're going to go up to Image and Canvas Size. So this should accept math. So if we have 8.5, let's go ahead and add 0.25 inches because we have 1/8 on the left side and 1/8 on the right side for the width. So let's go ahead and put plus 0.25, and the same thing for the height. So we have an 1/8 inch on the top, 1/8 inch on the bottom, so that's 0.25 inches total. So let's go ahead and do plus 0.25. So we could have done the math ourselves and did it there, or if there were some off numbers, we could also, I just want to show you that this accepts math. So go ahead and click OK. So now we have these guides here. Well, sorry, not guides. It added that 1/8 of an inch, so that's going to be our bleed, and this is going to be our trim, and this is going to be our safety. And let's go ahead and add those very corner or very edge guides again. So let's do Command A or Control A to select the whole artboard, and let's go ahead and drag these guides now. Top and bottom one that are going to be at our edges, and let's go ahead and do the side ones. And let's go ahead and deselect, so Command or Control D. Let's save this file once again. And we are pretty much ready to start dragging things in. So let's first go ahead and bring in our files. So our files that were provided. So let's go to File, Open. And let's go ahead and go into our Longleash files, and let's open up the Longleash logo PSD. Open up that one, and then let's click and drag this Longleash logo from the layers panel up into our main working document. So it's going to be our actual ad. So now we have our logo here, and then we could close this one, and let's go ahead and go to File, Open, and let's go ahead and open up these two product JPEGs as well. So I'm going to select them both by clicking and dragging, or you could click one and hold Shift and click on the other one, or click one, hold Command or Control and click the other one. Either way works. So let's open up both of those, and let's take these in here into our working file. So we have that one, and then we have the product itself. Okay, so now let's just place these here, and let's go ahead and name these. So one is going to be the collar. So the one that has the collar, I'm going to name it product collar. And then the other one, I'm just going to name it product. And now we have our Longleash logo. So one thing that you notice is this one has a little icon. The Longleash logo has a little icon. This means it is a smart object. What a smart object is it means it is a Photoshop document within this Photoshop document. So I could go into this Longleash logo, double click on the icon for the smart object, and I could see how this was built. So it opened up the separate one, and I could open up each individual layer for it. So what I could do is I could see there's a pet tracking system area to it, there's the leash part, there's a long, and I have an outline. Now if you see, these are shapes, so these are fully editable. So I could double click, for example, on the long part, double click here, and I could change the color. So feel free to change the color of the logos by doing this. If you want the leash part to be something like that, and then you could change your outline. So just know that the outline is the same color as the pet tracking system. I believe, I'll have to double check. So you could change these to anything you want. Just make sure you choose a good set of colors. And now if I save this, I could save it and close it, and it's going to change this file within my Longleash advertisement. So I could also do Command Z here, even though I closed the file already, Command or Control Z, and I could revert back to what I had originally. So I'm going to be showing you a few samples of previous student work, and we'll be working, I'll be creating like a quick little sketch, and to get the idea for an ad. But ultimately it's going to be up to you to bring in images, and we'll get back into how to bring in images, search for high quality images, look for files on Google, look for files on Unsplash and Pexels, which are my two go-tos for image searches. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick sketch just to have like a page layout, but feel free to go through, we have different magazines in the classroom. Feel free to look online. Doesn't have to necessarily be a magazine ad. You could look at web banners, things like that, just anything that's gonna have a call to attention in order for us to buy a product, and you could build off of that. So usually we have the name of the product is going to be pretty big, or the brand. We have a headline that tells you about the product, a call to action, go to www.longleash.com to order your product, or some sort of special 2 for $99 or something like that. And then you could have any extra information. So our job as graphic designers is to create a very conveying message within this ad that's going to draw clients or customers in to purchase this product. So with that, let's go ahead and draw our sketch. So I'm going to just click on my topmost layer and going to go ahead and make a new layer. So click on the little square with the plus icon, and I'm going to name this sketch. Hit return. Now I'm going to get a brush, and I'm going to fill it with black. Click OK. And I'm going to make sure my point size is, let's see, maybe about 10 pixels. Test it. That's good. Undo that. So I'm just coming up with this off the top of my head. So maybe I'll have like some, graphic shape like that. I'm going to have my logo here, centered up on top. And maybe I could have, let me turn these off for now. Maybe I could have another graphic element here. And I could split this into two. Maybe I could have like a happy dog here or something. Don't mind my sketching skills. There's my dog. And maybe I could have some words over here, headlines or something, some other information. It is a pet tracking device that's going to be on our mobile phone, so maybe I could add like a mobile phone here or something. Now notice when I do my sketches, when my guides are on, if I get close and I start drawing here, it's going to kind of give me like some straight jagged lines. So let me undo that, undo the phone, and let's go ahead and turn off our guides first before all this. So I'm going to do Command or Control semicolon, or we could go to View, Show, and turn the guides either on or off, and here's our quick command. Okay, so now maybe we could do like a phone right here that shows the pet tracking. Undo this, that's a phone, and then maybe this could be a map or something. And it could show, it could pinpoint where the dog is or something. Then we could also have, the download things for the App Store or for Google Play. Maybe we could add those here. And, maybe we could add like a phone number or some other information here. So I feel like this will be a pretty good ad. So again, the sketch is just to get an idea out, and then we could start arranging our elements as we see fit. So let's go ahead and turn on all of our products. I'm gonna turn my sketch down to maybe like a 25% roughly. That way we could see through everything. So now that we have this, we could start going to the internet and start looking for images that we might want to put. So we obviously have a dog, maybe some graphics here, maybe a background, We have the phone and these logos. So let's go ahead and start looking for all that. So let's go ahead and open up our browser, and I'm going to go to Google, and let's go ahead and find a dog. And you know, you could find anything specific. I'm gonna look for a bull terrier, and let's look for images, and this is where we search for a high quality one. So I'm gonna go to tools, size, and large, and this is gonna filter out any images that that are gonna be small. So let's look for a real cool picture. Kind of like that one, but the background is a little blurry. Let's see. I kind of like this one. The background is blurry too, but you know, it is a pretty cool pose. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I don't like this part right here, but maybe I could crop them off at some point. So let's go ahead and right click and open image in a new tab. And there I have my image. So I'm going to just either right click and save image as, and then let's navigate to our working folder, working files. So let's go to our Longleash ad, and maybe I could make a new file within, or I could just put it in the Longleash files. That will work. Let's go ahead and save it, and let's close it. Maybe I'll get a couple more just in case. This one's pretty cute. Actually, I think I like this one better, so let's go ahead and right click it and open image in a new tab. Make sure you follow these steps. Sometimes, you know, it'll open the image somewhere else and it's not going to be the high quality. So let's open it there, and now right click, save image as, and let's save this one, and let's go ahead and close it. So just to practice our masking, I'm going to mask the dogs out, and I am going to put a different background. So let's put a cool background. So let's go to another website. So let's go to unsplash.com, and let's look for a park. And let's see if we have something nice. I kind of like this one. Right click and open this one in a new tab. I'm going to explore a few of these, so just to see if we have something pretty cool. This one's pretty nice too. I like the buildings in the background. Let's see. We could also go to pexels.com, and I'm going to look for a park with a lake. So park and lake. And let's see if we see anything cool here. I don't see anything that would quite work with the dog's pose. So, you know, you might find something where a dog is walking and you could put something like this on the bridge, or, you know, you might find something that works. I'm not quite finding anything. Maybe this might work. Let's go ahead and download this one. I kind of like this one. So download this one. And then I'm gonna minimize my window, open up my working folder, go to my Longleash ad, my files, and then I'm gonna go to my downloads, and I'm gonna drag that file onto here as well. Okay, so now what else do we have? So we have our dog, we have our background. Let's go ahead and look for some cool graphics right here. So let's go back into our browser and let's look for some just graphics. I just did a curly or a curvy shape, but you know, you could do anything else you want. And like I said, you could always change it. Just make sure the theme kind of goes with it. So let's see if we could find something pretty cool. And we could always change colors. So Let's look for maybe vector graphics and see what we have here. Or border graphics. So this part is going to take a little bit, you know, just depending on what you want. See, here's something like what I was imagining. However, these are advertisements for iStock, so it was something like this. So I clicked on it. Let's see, abstract blue curve. So maybe abstract curve would be a good search. So let's see, abstract curve. And let's see if we find anything. This looks pretty cool. This might work. For the meantime, you know what? Let's just scrap this idea and let me just go ahead and make my own shapes. So I'll go ahead and do that. The other thing I could look for is my iPhone or whatever phone. I'm just going to go with iPhone. And here, this one's pretty cool. I'm going to download this one. And I could possibly save some time if I have the map already in there. If not, I could always, yeah, see something like this. If not, I could always create it or find a snapshot of the map. So let me go ahead and download this one as well. So there's actually a lot of good ones. And we could go to Google to probably find the logos for the app icons. So let's go ahead and go over here and let's search for App Store icon. Go to images. And here we have download on the App Store. Here's actually both of them, so let's just look for both. App Store and Google Play logos. And here we find both of them. So again, let's go to Tools, Size, and go to Large. Make sure we don't get any small ones. And here are both of these. I'm going to right click, open image in a new tab. Here they are, perfect. We could probably, we're going to have to mask them out and delete everything else. So let's go save image as, and let's go ahead and save these. And we could always split them up. So just once is fine, and we could split them up in Photoshop. So I think that gives us a good start with all of our images. So I'm going to go ahead and create this shape right here. And actually, I'm going to use my pen tool. So I'm going to click on P, use my pen tool, and then I'm going to make this a shape. I'm going to use the fill. I'm going to choose this little icon here, and I'm going to sample the green from Longleash. And go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to do maybe just the white stroke. 10 points is fine. So I'm going to click, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, click outside here, click and drag and try to match that curve a little bit. Click and drag here, and now I could go here, here, and here, connect it. So now this is a shape, and it's built all on using vector lines. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this. So I'm going to drag this to the new layer icon, and I'm going to move this one down. So drag it down, hold shift. The reason why I wanted to do this was so I could have this line matching that line, and we could always change it later. So now I could go ahead and edit these points on this. So I could click on my direct selection tool, or click on A, so that's going to take you to it. Now if I'm on my second shape layer, I could just click on this icon, on this point, drag it down, click on this point and drag it down, and there you go. Now I have both of those shapes above and below what's going to be my main imagery. And let's see, now I could go ahead and put my logo up on the very top, and let's go ahead and move it here. Now I want to make sure I want to center my logo, so what I want to do is do Command A again, or Control A to select everything, and let's go ahead and drag a guide from our left hand side to the right and go up to the center. It should snap once we get to the middle of it, and now we have a centered guide. And just for fun, let's do a centered guide top to bottom as well. So let's go ahead and drag that one, and there it is. So now we have our center guides. So now if I deselect, because I still have a selection, Command or Control D, I could click on my Longleash logo and zoom in a little bit, and I could do Command or Control T, and now I could see the center points for that Longleash logo. I could move it to the left just slightly, and it should snap into that center point. Now if I want to scale it up, if I hold Shift, you might try this out first, depending on if you're on Photoshop 2020, 21, 22, sometimes you're going to hold Shift, sometimes you're not. So before you used to have to hold Shift, now you do not. So if I just click and drag, it brings it up scaled. Make sure that these two numbers on top are the same. If I hold Shift now and I move it, see how I start stretching it. So notice how my numbers are not constrained. So I have 78 and a 79. So that means it is wrong. Make sure that your numbers are the same. Now, if you drag it from this corner, it pretty much anchors this bottom left-hand corner. So I'm going to undo it. If you want to scale it from the middle, all you have to do is hold Option or Alt, and now you click and drag, and it's going to resize it from the center. So I'm going to resize it from the center. I'm going to make sure that the little tail on this logo does not go past my live area. So maybe I'm going to bring it down a little, and I'm going to size it up just a little bit more. So something like that, because that is the most important part. And I'm going to go ahead and hit return or enter to accept that change. Now we see the little issue we got into here. Our shape is no longer covering this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my top shape, hold Shift, and drag it down ever so slightly. And I'm actually going to name this top shape, and I'm going to name the other one bottom shape. Okay, so now it's starting to look like something. Let's go ahead and save it. Good time to save. Turn off our sketch real quick, see where we're at. Now let's go ahead and bring in our dogs. So let me close this one out. So let's go to File, Open. Let's look for our dogs. This is the one that I wanted to use, so go ahead and click Open. And now I am going to mask these. So you could use any way you want to mask. I'm going to use my pen tool. Like I said, try to get comfortable using the pen tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my pen tool. I'm going to make sure this is now path. I want a path out of it, not a shape. And I'm going to zoom in real close. And then I'm just going to click and drag. Now I notice this photo is a little bit pixelated. So it is 72 pixels per inch. It might be a little small, but I really like it. So let's see what it ends up looking like. Actually, before I do this, my pen tool, let me bring this into my Longleash ad and see how it's going to play out. So I roughly want to place it something like that. It's not the best, but it's not horrible, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. So let's continue with our masking. So pen tool, make sure it's in path. So you could choose any way that you have learned how to mask. I'll leave that totally up to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and do my trusty pen tool. And I should go ahead and fast forward this a little bit, just to make this a little quick. Okay, so now if you have any questions on the pen tool, feel free to call me over and I could help you out if that's the route you wanted to go. So now that we created our path, if I right click on it, still with my pen tool, I could go ahead and click on make selection. Go ahead and leave the feather radius at 0 and go ahead and click OK. So now we get our marching ants behind our dogs, and let's go ahead and make a mask. And so it did the opposite. Sometimes it does that. If you want to inverse that, just go to select, and it's grayed out. So if you just do Command or Control I, make sure you are on your mask layer, and that inverses the mask. Now if you notice, I just did a quick cutout at the bottom. It isn't, as refined as the rest of the dogs. So I'm gonna not worry about that because that's most likely gonna be cut off by my shapes. And let's go ahead and name this dogs. And then let's go ahead and drag this layer now into our working file. So there we have our dogs. Let's go ahead and close this one. Don't save it. Now let's resize our dogs. Maybe this is a little bit too much, more than what I've wanted to do, but I really like this picture, so let's go ahead and do this. So this is where I have to start, working with this. I got to consider my space over here, the dogs. I might have to bring this shape up a little, which is what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I'm actually going to bring them up just right here. Go ahead and hit return. The good thing about these is I could always edit all of this stuff. So let's turn off my sketch for a little bit. And let's go ahead and go to our bottom shape. And let's move it up. So let's click on our selection tool. Let's move it up. So maybe I want their ears poking through the top, but down here I want them covered by this shape. So I'm gonna move the shape over them, over the dogs. And now let's go ahead and edit the points on this shape so we could drag it down. So I'm gonna click on my direct selection tool again and click on one of these corner points, click on the other one on the right, and I'm going to drag them both down. So now that fills up that whole bottom area. Okay, so now I want to put the background here. So let's go ahead and find that cool background that we downloaded. So let's go to File, Open. And I'm going to find this image, go ahead and open it up. I'm going to leave the name background. It suits the file, and let's bring that beneath the dogs layer. And let's see. It should technically be below the top and bottom shapes as well. So let's see how it's going to play out. Go up to my move tool or my selection tool. Command T, and let me resize it. Maybe looking for a horizontal photo of a park might be a little bit better. Now that I put it here, I'm going to resize it, but it doesn't look the best. So, and actually, let me turn off my top shape and see what that looks like. Maybe I could resize it. Yeah, I think a horizontal photo might work better. So I'm gonna look for, I forgot if I downloaded that other one that I liked. I believe I did not. So I have two of these open. So let me go back to the drawing board and let's go back onto our images. So let's look for that park. And let's see if we find something pretty cool. I'm trying to go with something like this, but you know, we have different images we could do. So let's look for something that's quite nice. This is a maybe for me. This one's actually pretty cool. That one maybe. Hey, what about this? We could put them in front of the White House. Let's go with that. So we're going to download this one. Go to the Finder. And let's go ahead and get that image from our downloads. Let's bring that one. I forgot to bring all these other ones, so let's go ahead and bring our phones. And let's see, do we have our... there they are. I was looking for our app icons. So let's go back to Photoshop and open up that background. Let's go ahead and delete or turn this one off. We'll leave it there just in case. So I could go to File, Open, look for our White House image. There it is. And let's bring this in. Let's see, that might work. Let's open up another one. I think we downloaded another one. So let's go back onto our download this one. I thought this one was pretty cool. This one was pretty cool too. And they should be here now. Going back to Photoshop. Press cancel, go to File, Open again. And our new pictures should be in here as well. Which they are not. I wonder why. Oh, I didn't put them in within the file, the folder. So let's drag these and put them in here. Now we should have them. Let's open up this one. That one in. Close these other ones. Actually, this one's pretty cool. I kind of like this one. And let's open up another one just to see what else we could do. Drag this one in. I could keep turning these off and on and see what works. I'm honestly kind of liking it now without that shape at the top. So I'm going to get rid of that one. here we go. I like something like that. I think that's looking pretty cool. Now what we could do is we could extend the sky. We could add a little bit of grass down here. And it keeps in touch with our colors. So the green of the grass goes with that green. The green here as well, since we chose it. So yeah, let's go with that one. So let's go ahead and turn off our guides now. And I can start deleting all these layers that I don't need. Typically, if you were still working and showing this to a client, you would leave them in case they don't like the background. They say, hey, I want this other background. Then you could go ahead and turn on other layers, and they could tell you, what they like, what they don't like. So let's go ahead and let's see. This one, delete this one. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now what else do we have? We had our, let's see, in our sketch, dogs, we had some type there. I think now, since we have a lot more space here, this type on the left can go over here as well. So we could do something here instead. So let's do that instead. And let's go ahead and make the dogs a little bit bigger. So we could always arrange our elements. We don't have to stick with our sketch, but that was our original idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and make our dogs bigger, and let's go ahead and center them. And let's go ahead and make this bottom shape, bring it down just a tad, and maybe make this background layer, I'm gonna name it Lake. And I'm gonna make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so now one thing we could do is, I feel like this shape is has a little bit too much of a curve, so I could click on the bottom shape and click on my direct selection tool, click on any of these points, and then I could manipulate this curve so it's not so drastic. And I could always move it up a little, and that's somewhat gonna fix our this little area. So I could always move it up now, and see, that took care of that, so we didn't have to clone any of that area. And now I think I want to make that white line a little stronger, so I'm gonna click on my direct selection tool, and we're gonna change the stroke to, let's just drag this up and see what looks good. Maybe about 40 pixels, just so we have a nice even number. And there we go. I think that looks a little bit better. And now let's say we have to fill in this blue because we want to go all the way to the edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this lake layer. Make a copy. I'm going to drag it underneath our original lake layer. And I'm going to make this copy one, Command T, and I'm going to make it bigger. Drag it down here, so now that filled in that blue. However, now you can see that we have a sharp line because it wasn't a solid blue, so there's gradients there. So now I'm gonna go to my lake layer, make a mask, and I'm gonna choose a brush, make sure I have black, and I'm gonna make my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm simply just gonna brush along this line. So you can see what I'm doing. Let me turn off that lake copy. So what I'm doing is I'm just erasing that hard edge from our original image. And if I really wanted to, I could go down and change the opacity now, and I can make my brush a little bit bigger, and I could just click to make more of a blend, because it's going to be blending into the sky from our lake copy layer. So that's one way to be able to recreate that sky up on top. And then our pet tracking system name is underneath Longleash, and it's between the dog's ears, so that looks pretty cool. So this is a good start, I think, and then we'll have all the information at the bottom. So let's go ahead and now let's bring in our phone. So file, open, and let's look for our phone. And we had established that we had this one that already has a map, so that's gonna take some work out for us. If not, we would have to, create that shape and add it. So let's go ahead and open this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and select this here. So I'm gonna use my pen tool again, and I'm gonna drag here, make a rough shape here of this person's shoulder. Okay, so now again, I just right click and make a selection and go ahead and click OK. Now let's go ahead and click to add that layer mask. Do Command or Control I. Let's zoom out. And now let's go ahead and drag this in. And this is going to go above our bottom shape. And let's do Command T. Make this a little bit smaller. And we could have something like that. So now our elements are all coming into play. Let's go ahead and add our icons for the app. So File, Open these. And luckily it is a PNG, so I could just drag these in. And yeah, so they're PNG, so there was no background to them. So what I could do is I'm gonna drag one over here. I'm gonna name one of them Google Play. And I'm going to get a selection tool, a rectangular marquee tool. Select just past this one, and then click on the mask. So create a layer mask, so that masks everything except for that Google Play icon. Now I'm gonna drag this, make a copy of it, and I'm going to move it out of the way, delete its layer mask, and go ahead and click delete, not apply. And now we want to do the App Store one. So again, go ahead and click on our marquee tool. This time on this one, the copy of it, we're going to select the App Store and go ahead and click on add a layer mask. So now we have our layer mask for that one. And let's go ahead and name this App Store. And I'm going to make a group for both of these. So I'm going to hold Shift, click on the Google Play, and I'm going to click on the little folder icon. So that gives me a group. I'm going to name this App Icons, just to start getting a little more organized. Now I should technically move my App Store logo up. So I'm going to click on my selection tool, move it up, and use the guides so that I could see that they're side by side. Now to move them together, I could just click on my App Icons folder and move them down here. Now they are a little bit big, so I'm going to do Command T or Control T, and I'm going to resize them both together. And let's go ahead and hit return. I'm going to turn on my guides to see how far I could go with these. So it's Command or Control semicolon. And I have plenty of space here, so I'm going to put that one there. Now I'm going to move just the Google Play one to the left a little, just to give it a little bit more breathing room. And now I can move both of these together. So I'm going to visually kind of center it, make sure there's about the same space from the hand to the beginning of this button, and from the edge of the trim to the edge of this button. So this is not an exact science. I could just quickly get my marquee selection tool, click and drag, so I have that space. Now I can move it to the right, and I can see that I have more space here, so these technically should go more to the left. So I'm going to click on my App Icons and move it ever so slightly to the left. Deselect, make another selection with my marquee tool, and this is just visually, trying to give it like the same negative space on the right and left hand side. So maybe that was too much, so I could go a little bit to the right. And that should be about good. Okay, so now we have our app icons. Let's turn on our sketch. And I believe that is it for our elements. Oh, we still have our product, so we could bring those in. But pretty much everything else that I had said we were going to do is there. So I could turn off my sketch now, delete it if I wanted to. And let's go ahead and bring the products and the color up. I'm going to bring them all the way to the top. And here they are. So one thing we could do is mask these out and put them on the dogs if we wanted to. This one already has a collar somewhat, so we could, mask it out, put it on, or we could add another collar, or we could use this one and bring in another collar. We could show the tracking device by itself here. So let's go ahead and add the collars on the dogs. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one. Let's see, kind of like this one. So I'm going to choose the product collar one. Click on my magic wand tool, select this, and let's see if it gets rid of the white. So I'm selecting all the whites, and then I'm creating a layer mask from it, and then do Command or Control I, and that hides the whole background to it. Now I'm going to go in and finesse this a little bit because I noticed some things are gone. If I hold Shift and click on the mask, I could see part of this that should be there, part of this, part of this, and that. So I'm going to click on my brush tool, and I'm going to select white, make sure my opacity is at 100%, and make sure I'm at a proper size. So I'm going to go down to maybe this about 20 pixels, and I'm just going to start brushing this in because I need it. So again, this is the beauty of masks. We didn't get rid of or delete any of this. We still have all this intact. And notice how it looks a little fuzzy. That's because of my brush. So if you want it to look a little less fuzzy, you could bring up the hardness, and that's going to give you a crisper edge on these shapes. And let's go ahead and do it to this one. And let's see here. It's going to be there. So just take care of any other little areas that you see that might have some bad spots. So now this one might be a little hard because the angle of this collar and the angle of the product. So what we could do is I'm just going to rotate it, and I'm going to ignore the color part. Maybe if I bring it down like that, that will kind of match. So let's go ahead and do that. Shrink it down to proper size, so maybe something like that. And I'm going to make a copy of it to put it on this dog as well. And on this one, let's go ahead and change the blending mode, see if the white could mix in with the green and we still get our shadows or something. So let's go ahead and see if any of these work. We might get lucky. If not, we could always mask it. Okay, looks like not. So I'm going to select our product. This seems like a good time to try out the object selection tool. I'm going to click on that one and drag around this, and let's see if it does a pretty good job. Okay, let's go ahead and make a mask out of it. And so it selected it pretty good, however it left the that shadow. So I'm going to go in and with my brush, I could load it up with black, and I could mask this off manually, or I could use my pen tool, the trusty pen tool, and select all this area. Make sure I go into a little bit of the of that tracking device, because I don't want any of that the white to show. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a selection to select all this white that was left. Right click, make a selection, okay, and then now if I do technically it should be, let's see, command delete or option delete. Wrong one. Might have to try this a couple times. Or actually I could just get my brush tool, choose black. And if I have black and 100%, I should be able to mask this area out. It seems to not be working, so it seems like I have an inverse selection. I could tell because I have the marching ants around here and here as well. So I'm just going to do command, or I'm going to go to select and inverse. So it inverses my selection, so I know now I only have this selected. And I'm going to make my brush a little bigger, so now I could brush freely. And on this edge, it's not going to go past the product. So now I can deselect. So now I have this product masked out, and I could bring it in over here. Maybe this one could break out of here a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and look for some colors for my dogs. So let's go ahead and look for dog collar. So this one might work. As it goes across, we have to keep in mind our Photoshop document, we have them facing us head on. So let's go ahead and look for one of those colors. Or we could always go to Google as well if we don't find anything. And let's go ahead and go to Tools, Size, go pick a large one. And here we have some that we wouldn't even have to fully mask out of a dog. So just go ahead and find a cool one you like. Yeah, there's a cool spiked one if you want to go that route. You know what, I'm gonna go with this gold chain. Why not? Right click, open image in a new tab, save image as. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's go ahead and go into our Photoshop, go to File, Open, and let's look for that chain image. Go ahead and open it, and now let's go ahead and mask it. So let's see how we could best mask this. Let's go ahead and try that our pen tool again. I think that's going to be the best bet. Any of these other tools are going to be, you know, Photoshop it's going to try, but it's not going to be the best. So let's go ahead and make a quick selection with our pen tool. And remember our rotate tool, so let's go ahead and we could rotate this to make it easier. So R, or just go into our hand tool, rotate tool, and then we could click and drag, and then go back to our pen tool and go ahead and continue. So again, this doesn't change the pixels of the image. It just simply rotates the image. So this is our view pretty much. Go ahead and rotate to the left a little, navigate here, go back to our pen tool. So now I'm just clicking P or R just to make it faster to toggle between the pen tool and my rotate tool. So I'm going to go R, rotate it to the left, hit P, my pen tool, and I could continue. Now I'm going to go ahead and shave this off. I feel like we don't really need it. Now I'm going to right click, make a selection, click OK, and I'm going to make a mask out of it. Again, for some reason it's masking out the chain, so we want to mask out the rest of it. So do Command or Control I, and now we have the chain. I could go back to my rotate tool, click R, and reset view. Name this chain, or collar actually. And let's go ahead and drag this into our main working file. We could go ahead and close any of these that I have open, don't save them. And now let's resize this collar. And I might have to go in and warp it. So I'm going to do Command T again, and then I'm going to right click and warp. And I could shape it up like this a little bit. It might not be perfect, but as it is, it's already kind of a funny effect. So something like that. Hit return. I'm going to make a copy of it. Put this one on this dog. Warp it again. Right click and maybe do scale, bringing it up in size. And there we go. Okay, so now they both have their cool chains. And if you see these lines over here, that's part of the mask. For some reason it does this. So I could go in there and I could click on my brush tool and I could brush them out with black. Just make sure I go there. Sometimes it leaves those these lines here. So, and let's go ahead and do it to the other one. So this color. Whoops, make sure I click on my layer mask. So sometimes depending on the background colors you really can't see, but if these lines were on white, you'd definitely be able to see them. So that's why I suggest to zoom in also, and that way you could take care of any little problem spots like that, because if this goes to print, that is for sure going to show up. So now let's go ahead and put up the colors here, the product colors above this. And now let's move them into the correct area. So I'm going to put this one somewhere right there, this one somewhere right there. Let's go into the masks, and now I think we could actually erase. See, these have those lines too. So now we could have to find my correct one. So I'm gonna choose my brush tool, make sure I choose black, and now I could start erasing. Make sure I'm on my layer mask, and let's go ahead and erase this part of it because we don't need it. And at the same time, let's take care of any of these lines that we see show up. And there we go. Now let's go on to this other one. So this one. And let's do the same thing to it. Actually, at this point, we could delete this one, and we could make a copy of the other one that's already all masked out. Make a copy of it, and then move this one to this side. That makes our job a little easier. So there we go. Another thing we could do at this point is we could copy our logo. And I'm not going to get the pet tracking system, but I am going to get the Longleash logo part of it. So I could actually bring this Longleash logo, make a copy of it, bring it down, Command T, and I'm going to resize it and make it fit in within the collar here. And just to give it some branding, now I could create a mask for it, and then with a brush and black I could mask out the pet tracking system. And I could make a copy of it and move this over to the other one. And there we go. So that gives us some consistent branding. Now we could make another copy of this one and bring it up over our over this one. So this one's going to be a little bit bigger. And then now I could right click and I could do perspective. So I could, with perspective, I could always move it like that. Click on one of the edges so I could angle it. And that looks pretty good. So there we go. So now we have some branding, and now we could make up some copy. So let's go ahead and click on our type tool. We could also arrange our layers a bit. So let's go ahead and I'm going to erase my sketch now. I'm going to get this Longleash logo. And let's see, where was this product? This right here. Let's go ahead and put it above it. I'm going to click on both of these, group them. This is going to be our ad product. So now that folder controls both of these. I could make one solid folder for the dogs, or actually the dogs' collars. So this one could be, take that Longleash logo up. It's up to you on how to arrange these. Let's say that's part of the right color. And then take the product color here. So 1, 2, and then we need that Longleash ad here. So let's go to here. So now we have all three of these together. Let's group those and name this right dog collar. So now have the whole grouping of all the pieces that make that one up in one folder. And then let's group up these together. This one's going to be left dog collar. And we could erase our top shape. And there we go. That's cleaning it up a little. So now let's make a whole nother group, and we're going to name this copy or text or just add. I'm going to name it add copy. So after that, I'm going to click on my type tool, and I'm going to choose a font. On this computer, pretty much the only good fonts I have are the ATC ones. So let's go ahead and choose one of those. Let's see, I actually do have Avenir. That's a pretty good one. I'm going to choose bold, and I'm going to change it to white. So now I'm going to click. Let's see, my font point size is 26, so I'm going to click, and I'm going to name this I'm going to start typing know where your pet is. Hit return or enter, and I'm going to do Command A to select all of that. Go into my characters panel. I'm going to decrease the leading because there's a lot of space between there, so I'm just going to go to auto, and I'm going to move this over here. Maybe I'm going to right align it, so click on my type tool, click within the type, Command A, and I'm going to right align it, and I could push it all the way to this right edge. And actually I'm going to make this a little smaller so I could get my type bigger. So I'm going to go to my layers panel, the add product. This makes it a lot easier to where I could just select the folder, Command T, and I could make the product a little bit smaller. Something like that. And then I'm going to click on my type. I could do Command T as well, and I could make this bigger. And I'm going to make another subhead line. So I'm going to click on the type tool. So click on T. This one I'm going to not make it bold. I'm going to make it medium or maybe regular. Click here, and I'm going to make it right aligned again since we're working with this area. And I'm going to name this, no, at some point this changed, so we could always change it back. So this is going to say no more frustration on a lost loved pet. Instant tracking. Instant live tracking. So you can find your pet, hit return in a jiffy. Okay, so now we'll click on my move tool and drag it to the right over here. And let's start working with this to make it a little bit cleaner looking so it fits in this area. So I'm gonna go maybe here, put my cursor here, hit return. And there we go. Put our cursor over here. Let's change this to back to heavy, or actually it was bold. And actually now we could get our app icons and move them to the right because we have this established line on the right. And there we go. Let's go ahead and move this hand. Let's see, phone. Move that a little to the right. And maybe not. Trying to think if we even need this here, because we're already showing it. So let's turn that off, and that gives us a chance to make our type bigger. So know where your pet is, that's going to get significantly bigger. Doing Command T, I'm going to put my cursor in here, and let's go ahead and decrease our leading even more so we could have a little bit more space here. And let's go to our characters panel. Let's go ahead and try 48 maybe. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now let's go to this one. And let's try to put it into one less line, and then we could add the website. So we have that, and maybe we could click on this. Maybe we could choose another color. Let's see what else would stand out. Maybe a yellow. And let's create a button right here so that we could it could potentially look like it would work on a website if we were to make an ad out of this, a digital ad. So let's create a button. So let's go ahead and go into our rectangle tool. Let's fill it with, for now, let's fill it with the yellow we just used. We might change this. I'm gonna put no stroke. And I'm going to give it a radius of maybe about 15 pixels up on our control bar. Sorry, our options bar. And then I'm just going to click and drag and hit return. So now I'm going to go in. I'm going to do Command T. I'm going to resize it to where it takes up the edges of these buttons, so we have something to align it to. And I'm going to go hold shift, bring it down. And now I'm going to click on my type tool again. And I'm going to click right here, change the font to black. And I'm going to type in order now at, hit return, and then www.longleash.com. Then I'm going to do Command A to select everything. I'm going to center align this text, and I'm going to click on my move tool, and I'm going to move it into this area. Click my type tool again, put my cursor inside, Command A to select everything. Now I'm going to choose a bold font. So let's go with heavy, and let's go ahead and make the font size a little bit smaller so that it all fits within. Maybe 22, so we could type in 22. And I'm going to close up the leading ever so slightly. So go to my characters panel. And maybe about, let's try 18, a little too much. Maybe 20. That looks good. And let's go ahead and bring this down. We'll try to center it. And let's go ahead and click on our button here. Let's see. Click on our button, go to layers, go to a rectangle, click A to select our direct selection tool, and that's going to give us these options in our options bar. And let's go ahead and change the stroke to white. And 10 pixels should be pretty good. So there we go. That gives us an ad, a nice ad. We have our title, the dogs, know where your pet is, some type here. Let's go ahead and move that one up a little, just to have a little bit of the same space. See how there's too much space up here, and this is very tight. So let's move that up. I'm just using my arrow keys to move that paragraph up. And now we have our call to action, which is order now at longleash.com. And that would be our ad. So, you know, can't wait to see your guys' work. And like I said, I'll be showing you guys some student work as well. So once you're done, go ahead and save it, Command S, and then go ahead and save it as a JPEG. So file, save as, Change this to a JPEG. Go ahead and save it. Okay, and then go ahead and close it. And what you will be turning in is going to be your JPEG. So again, can't wait to see your guys' work. Very excited. One thing I would change probably is bring this down a little, bring this dog up a little. Maybe I could cut him out. But it looks a little cool where this breaks up past this line. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. But yeah, there is a simple ad created off of this. It gives us the information that we need. If we wanted to maybe change this area right here, it says Humphrey's Restaurant. Maybe do something where it says, you know, Fido, a picture of Fido and where he's at on the map and things like that. So yeah, thanks again, and can't wait to see your work. We'll see you on the next tutorial.